Who else is a traitor hiding in plain sight?
The most dangerous alliance in The Boys Season 5 may not be between Homelander and Soldier Boy. It may not be whatever desperate final war Billy Butcher is preparing as his body continues to betray him. It may not even be the emotional conflict between Starlight and the Empire that raised her. The most dangerous alliance in the entire final season could be something much quieter, something colder, something built not on strength, but on intelligence, fear, and survival. It could be the partnership between Sister Sage and Ashley Barrett. And if that happens, Homelander may finally be facing the kind of enemy he cannot simply punch through. Because the truth about Homelander has always been simple. He knows how to dominate fear, but he does not know how to control people who understand him too well. He thrives when people worship him. He wins when people panic. He destroys people who confront him emotionally because emotional people make mistakes. But people like Sister Sage and Ashley are dangerous for the opposite reason. They survive by studying monsters, not by fighting them. They know how power works when the cameras are off. They understand that empires are not destroyed by explosions first. They are destroyed by information, timing, and betrayal. That is what makes this potential alliance so terrifying. At first glance, these two women look like complete opposites. Sister Sage walks into every room like she already knows how it ends. She is calm, measured, almost disturbingly detached. She does not waste energy trying to impress people because she already understands them. Her intelligence is not just about being the smartest person in the world. It is about emotional architecture.
What's her power?
She's the world's smartest person. She's not smart enough to know when to shut her mouth.
She can look at a person and immediately understand what drives them, what breaks them, and what can be used against them. She does not need super strength because she can turn people into weapons. Ashley, on the other hand, looks like chaos in human form. She is stress, panic, desperation, and corporate trauma wrapped in designer clothes and constantly smeared mascara. She looks weak because she is always reacting. She looks unstable because she is constantly surviving. But that appearance is exactly what makes people underestimate her. Ashley Barrett has survived longer than people far stronger than her, and that matters. People forget that in a world full of gods and monsters, survival is its own superpower. Ashley has been standing inside Vought International for years, while everyone around her gets destroyed. She watched executives disappear. She watched heroes become corpses. She watched the entire moral structure of Vought collapse under Homelander's rule, and somehow she is still standing. That is not luck. That is adaptation. Ashley learned the most important lesson in The Boys earlier than most people. Morality does not protect you. Awareness does. She learned how to read Homelander's moods before he spoke. She learned how to survive by making herself useful, by knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, and when to become invisible. People call her pathetic, but pathetic people do not survive Homelander. Survivors do. That is exactly why Sister Sage would see value in her. Sage does not need another soldier. She does not need another worshiper. She certainly does not need another person trying to impress her. She needs infrastructure. She needs access. She needs someone who understands how Vought works from the inside, someone who knows where the real power sits, not in the flashy public heroics, but in the private systems underneath. Ashley is that person. She knows the panic hidden behind the polished PR statements. She knows which politicians are bought, which files are buried, which contingency plans exist for disaster scenarios no one publicly admits are real. She knows where the bodies are buried because she helped schedule the funerals. And Sage knows how to weaponize that. That is the foundation of the alliance. Not friendship, not trust, mutual usefulness. That is what makes it stronger than loyalty. Because loyalty breaks under pressure. Utility becomes sharper. Ashley is approaching a point where survival alone is no longer enough. She knows she is disposable. Everyone inside Homelander's orbit eventually realizes that. The closer you are to him, the more dangerous your position becomes. At first, proximity to power feels like safety. Then one day, you realize it just means you are standing closer to the blast radius. Ashley has spent years trying to stay useful enough to avoid being discarded. But Season 5 changes the board completely. Homelander is no longer pretending to be manageable. His control is becoming more openly tyrannical. His paranoia is growing. His patience is disappearing. And once a narcissist like Homelander stops needing the illusion of normalcy, People like Ashley become liabilities. She knows too much. That is fatal. This is where Sister Sage enters like inevitability. Unlike Ashley, Sage was never emotionally trapped by Homelander. She never mistook his attention for affection. She never confused proximity with protection. She joined him because she saw an opportunity, not because she believed in him. That difference matters. Sage understands Homelander's greatest weakness better than anyone else in the series. It is not Butcher. It is not Starlight. It is not Soldier Boy. It is his ego. Homelander's need to be loved is stronger than his need to rule, and because of that, he is predictable. He needs admiration, like oxygen. He cannot tolerate being irrelevant. He cannot handle equals. He destroys threats, but he especially destroys people who make him feel small. Sage knows that. Ashley has lived inside that truth for years. Together, that becomes lethal. The alliance probably does not begin dramatically. There is no grand speech, no official deal, no dramatic handshake across a table. It starts with a look, a moment of understanding. Ashley realizing that Sister Sage may be the first person in that building who sees the game as clearly as she does. And Sage realizing Ashley is one of the few remaining people with enough institutional memory to matter. It begins quietly, information passed carefully. A warning here, a file there, a shared silence in a room where everyone else is pretending everything is normal. That is how real conspiracies begin. Not with revolution, with recognition. Ashley may trust Sage more than anyone else precisely because Sage does not pretend to be kind. Homelander demands emotional surrender. Vought demands obedience disguised as professionalism. Sage offers something else, brutal honesty. She tells you exactly what the game is. There is something strangely comforting about that. Ashley has spent years trapped in emotional manipulation, surrounded by people lying for survival. Sage does not lie about her intentions because she does not need to. She is not asking for love. She is asking for competence. That may be the most respect Ashley has ever been given, and respect can be more powerful than fear. Imagine what that does to someone like Ashley. For years, she has been treated like a disposable assistant to monsters, a stress toy for executives, a human shield standing between public relations disasters and public collapse. What happens when someone finally tells her she matters? Not emotionally, strategically. What happens when someone tells Ashley that her knowledge is power? That she is not just surviving inside the machine, she could help dismantle it. That changes people. That creates ambition, and ambition is far more dangerous than panic. This is where their alliance could reshape Season 5 entirely. While everyone focuses on the obvious war, the physical conflict between Butcher, Homelander, and the remaining heroes, the real battle could be happening behind closed doors. Ashley is feeding Sage internal documents, financial records, hidden experiments, secret Vought contingency plans, political leverage, information about Compound V, information about Ryan, information about Soldier Boy's role in whatever endgame Homelander is planning. Every empire has a skeleton key. Ashley may be holding it without realizing it. Sage would realize. And she would know exactly when to use it. Because Sage does not think in battles. She thinks in systems. She understands that the best way to destroy a tyrant is not always to kill him first. Sometimes you isolate him. You weaken the structure around him. You make loyalty expensive. You force the people around him to calculate survival differently. You turn worship into fear, and fear into betrayal. That is how real power collapses. Not with lasers. With paperwork. With leverage. With timing. That is something the boys has always understood beneath the blood and chaos. Yes, the show is full of exploding bodies and horrifying violence, but underneath that spectacle is a story about institutions, about corporations, about how power protects itself. The most realistic villain in the show was never Homelander's heat vision. It was Vought's boardroom. Ashley and Sage represent that side of the war perfectly. But the alliance can never be stable, and that is what makes it brilliant. Ashley will always wonder if she is just another pawn in Sage's larger plan. And she probably is. Sage will always question whether Ashley's fear will make her crack under pressure. And it probably will. That tension is not a weakness. It is the engine of the relationship. Because trust is impossible in this world. Only temporary alignment exists. Ashley is not becoming a hero. She is not suddenly joining the moral side of the story. She has done too much for that to be simple. She has protected monsters. She has enabled horrors. She has chosen survival over morality again and again. But that is what makes her compelling. Redemption in The Boys is never clean. It is messy, selfish, and often driven by necessity rather than virtue. Ashley turning against Homelander would not be a heroic awakening. It would be survival evolving into strategy. That feels real. Sage is even less interested in redemption. She is not looking for justice. She is looking for outcomes. She wants control because control creates stability, and unstable gods are bad for everyone. She may genuinely believe Homelander cannot be allowed to remain in power, not because he is evil, but because he is inefficient. He is too emotional, too reactive, too unstable. A narcissist with godlike power eventually destroys the system feeding him because he cannot tolerate limits. Sage sees that like mathematics. Homelander is not a king. He is a system failure waiting to happen. Ashley knows it emotionally. Sage knows it intellectually. That combination is terrifying. The final irony may be that Homelander's downfall does not come from the people he sees as enemies. He expects Butcher's hatred. He expects Starlight's rebellion. He expects public resistance. What he does not expect is quiet betrayal from the people he assumes are already owned. He does not see Ashley as a threat because he trained himself not to see people like her at all. He underestimates Sage because his ego cannot fully accept someone smarter than him without reducing her to a useful accessory. That blindness may kill him. Because tyrants rarely fall because of the rebels outside the gate. They fall because someone inside finally unlocks the door. And if Season 5 understands its own story, that person might be Ashley. Not because she becomes brave. Because she becomes tired. Tired of surviving. Tired of humiliation. Tired of realizing that loyalty only delays execution. That exhaustion can become something powerful. It can become decision. Sister Sage may simply be the person who helps her recognize it. And that is why this alliance matters more than any superhero fight. It is not about spectacle. It is about inevitability. Two women who understand the architecture of power quietly deciding that the god in the tower has become bad for business. One wants to live. One wants to win. Together, they may become the most dangerous force in the final season. Because Homelander can destroy heroes. He can kill rebels. He can terrify nations. But he cannot survive the people who know exactly how his empire works, choosing, at the same time, to let it burn. And if the final blow against him comes not from fists, but from two women in a boardroom deciding he is no longer useful. Honestly, that would be the most perfect ending the boys could possibly give us.